Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Uncle Vin Rock from the legendary Grammy Award winning group Naughty by Nature. And we're rocking all hip hop all the time, y'all. Peace.
What's going on, everybody? This is your man Chuck Creekmer, aka Jigsaw, here at One World Studios for allhiphop.com. And we have one of my favorite people in hip hop, Vin Rock from Naughty by Nature.
Hey, what's going on, Chuck?
What's up, man?
I'm good.
Vin Rock, man, he's so humble, man, he's so cool, legendary nonetheless, but you're definitely one of my favorites, man, so I'm glad to see you, man. I was telling Vin earlier that me and my boy drove 4 and some change to go check out Naughty by Nature like in the 1990s, man. That's just the type of guys we were, but that's the type of group y'all were. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, definitely. And Treach was on his cool stuff that night, so he wasn't trying to interview with us, but Vin gave us that time, man. I always appreciate you, man. So we're here at One World to talk about your new venture,
Yes.
Money Avenue. So let's talk about it a little bit. What is Money Avenue?
Well, Money Avenue is a financial services banking platform. So it's like a digital bank. It's a fintech, similar to what, Killer Mike and those guys are doing over there, but just full-fledged all-around banking services.
Nice. Now, this is so cool to see us getting involved in our own money.
Yes.
Master P is starting something. We got, like you said, Killer Mike. Now, Vin, talk about your service and how is it different? What are you trying to do for our community?
Well, I think for our community, for one, we're going after the unbanked and the underbanked. So there's a lot of people in the community, the Caribbean community, Latin communities, just the inner city communities who are either kind of blackballed from traditional banking, or they have predatory lending practices to our community, or people are just so intimidated they don't like to go into the bank. So we're having a digital banking platform. We're able to do more outreach to the community and explain what these banking services are, and kind of level the playing field, man, and treat our communities with respect when it comes to financing.
Yeah. Do you feel that perhaps in the past and kind of right now still that there's an element of racism involved with traditional banking services?
Absolutely. You see what happened with Wells Fargo, the predatory lending, or banking across the board, from the predatory lending to literally stealing your ID and opening bank accounts in your name. Wow. And these are across the board commercial banks, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's unregulated, no one cares. It's the wild, wild west out there. And unfortunately, our communities get the shortest end of the stick.
Yeah. Now, financial education is important, and we may not be as financially astute as we would like to believe. We always see the money phone, or, we saw Floyd with a table of money. Obviously, Floyd is rich and does well with his money. But what would you say we could be doing better?
I would say organizing our monies together, pooling our monies together, and kind of galvanizing these fintechs. So using our financial banking institutions to organize your money, pool your money together, and then identify areas that you can go after, in particular housing. Right. I was just up in the Bronx for the Universal Hip Hop Museum, and the plot of land that they're building on, it's a mixed-use residential place. So mixed-use meaning that they're building over 500 co-op units. So you'll actually be able to own these units, and then there's mixed-use retail at the bottom, and the museum will be incorporated in that. But one thing that I see, going across America, it was like at one time you used to have co-op buildings and condominium buildings where people would own their units, and then that's an asset that you could pass down to your families. Now I see tons and tons of these developments, rentals only. So it's like, you're creating a situation where you'll be breeding generational renters, and now you'll never have that nest egg and pass these assets down to your children. So those are some of the areas where we could build wealth through real estate. Definitely.
Where are you guys based?
In New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. Yep. Shout out to New Jersey. Jersey. You What's your position? What's your actual position there?
Well, my position is community outreach. So Money Ave is founded by Will Mingo and Anthony Don Baker.
Okay.
Usually Don is with me, so
Yeah.
they sent me out because this is hip hop. But my thing is pretty much how Killer Mike is,
Yeah.
to do this community outreach, to, reach out from financial institutions to educational institutions to our politicians and let them know what we have, and then going into these communities, breaking down what we have, and just kind of creating that level of comfort with the community where, come in, man, and we're all on the same page and we're not the predators out there.
Yeah. Have you, or I should ask, how has the reception been so far?
Yeah, so far it's been good, because the services have existed already. So Don is a heavy real estate guy, and Will comes from, the financial background and tech. So, they have different services, different projects they do in Newark. They do a lot of commercial lending, personal lending, helping people with business credit, established business credit, and they're out there in the community. So especially in the Northeast Orange, Essex County area, man, we're heavy out there. So as things begin to open up, we're definitely going to penetrate the communities more and more.
So tell people, what's a fintech?
Fintech is finance and technology, So a lot of people you see with cryptocurrency, and you keep hearing right now that we'll have a digital dollar. So, these fintechs, and fintechs is something like PayPal, Cash App, all of these different banking platforms you're using, you don't realize it, but this is what fintech is. So it's up to us. I think, like right now with COVID and everything being shut down, they call this the Great Reset. So how we deal with money, what money is going to be in the future, now is a time for us in our community to pay attention, because if we get ahead of the reset, we could take the ride as we move forward.
Definitely, and it's been interesting over the last year or so seeing people get into crypto, get into investing using like Robinhood or things like that, and actually have checks and balances. Have, did you check your today? Yo, AMC is blowing up. And, you know what I'm saying? And that's been real eye-opening, and that's something I honestly wish I had back in the day, because you didn't know anything about stocks. You were you didn't even want to touch it.
Exactly.
And I think about when all hip hop first started, all the money I pumped buying Apple computers, buying Apple products, because I love Apple and I still do. But if I had just taken a fraction of that money and just put it into stocks, I'd be rich. I'd be rich.
Rich. Exactly.
Richie rich. Yeah.
But you know what? Now we're at a point where platforms like yours, you can establish your company, and this is how a lot of companies work. All of a sudden, someone would say, "Yo, that new iPhone is dope," or "Yo, that latte at Starbucks is so crazy." They're never letting you know they own the stock. They're just selling you on the fact that go buy it, go use it because I have the stock. But platforms like allhiphop.com, you guys have been around for years. You can structure this where you can have shares and have people who use your platform to get their information come and invest, man. Annual subscribers. And now it's more of a reason to come and grab all the great content you put out there.
That good content, that real content that we provide as a service. But yeah, definitely, we're working on that actually, particularly around the archives, the archive content, interviews, and even news to some extent. Because if you go to the New York Times, you can't just run through their whole archives. You got to pay a couple dollars to do that. So, or even their new content.
Exactly.
And the quality makes you kind of have to buy it.
And hey, we all get it now, so it's not like it's a money grab or a cash grab. It's like, this is something that we need. This is our culture. These are our stories, and we need to protect these stories and keep them in their original form and keep the integrity. If not, someone else is going to tell our stories. They're not going to care about it, and you could have it for free all day, but look at what's going on right now. They're literally trying to erase the curriculums of what you can and cannot say in the school system, and who else is going to teach us better than our own culture.
Yeah, that's real talk. And Google isn't much better because Google, after a while, all that stuff, it starts to get harder to find. And
Right.
you don't expect to see these things manifest in big companies like that, but they do.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
do.
So let's switch gears just a little bit. You are still, I don't know what to consider you within Naughty. Obviously, you're an artist, but I and this is no disrespect to anybody else, so salute KG and Treach, but I always consider you the business brain of Naughty. Is that fair?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that. I think all three of us are, heavily and deeply invested in our brand. It's just that we do different things, Treach is the actor guy, and he's definitely out there doing shows with us. KG is the producer, so he loves staying in the studio and breaking new artists. And then for me, I've always, stepped up to take advantage of, or to kind of curate our fan base. So from having naughtybynature.com's website in 94, 95 to going through MySpace and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and running the merchandise, I've always understood that this technology would be able to create a direct-to-fan relationship. So that's why I've always stepped up with it, and you'll see me on the front lines more with that, and then people will say, Vin is running the business, but definitely, K Treach and I are up on everything we're doing.
Yeah, that's what's up. Now, how have you been able to, Naughty is a legacy brand now, and you have managed to really monetize merch. And in hip hop now, we see a lot of the younger guys monetize their merch, and I've always been baffled almost why a lot of the more legacy brands and senior brands don't do that. Like, we walk around with a Rock t-shirt on.
Right.
But why won't we walk around with Redman's logo? Like, I mean, and I would wear, wear, but I mean, like, everybody should be doing it.
Right. Well, I think it's a matter of investing in yourself. That's one thing we've always done as Naughty. It's like, you go out there, you ask a company to partner with you. Hey, they have a right to partner or not. But for us, as much money as we make, as much influence we have on not only our culture, but other people and other ethnicities, what better way to keep your brand alive than investing in yourself? If Balenciaga or Gucci could get all of that money, I mean, before I go spend that money, I'll invest in myself every day. So I think it's a matter of the artists themselves. You know what I'm saying? So no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And for us, we've always invested in ourselves first. And then when, the companies or corporations see that you invest in yourself, then they knock on the door and they want to be down.
Yeah. I saw you looking for, maybe an opportunity with a car company, put the Naughty logo on there, something like that. That's dope. Do you really want to do that? Is that something you really...
Yeah. I got a lot of feedback from that the other day. My truck got jammed up. Someone crashed into my car, so I have a Chevy Tahoe, and I really like GM product, and I always had in my mind that Ford, the Explorer back in the day, they had the Eddie Bauer edition. So I'm like, well, when it comes to 4x4 or off-road vehicles, Naughty by Nature, if you're going to be out there in nature, a Naughty by Nature edition 4x4 would make sense. And I'm like, a lot of different brands like Rough Riders, they definitely lend their brand to that, especially with motorcycles. Wu-Tang, who wouldn't rock a Wu-Tang truck or whip or a Wu-Tang Lambo, Talk, So, I kind of put that energy out there, and I sort of challenged American automakers, but at the same time, there's tons of independent automakers out there. So we're putting that energy out there, and we're going to connect those dots for sure.
Nice. Now, you guys are from, you're from Jersey, East Orange, right?
Yes.
East Orange, New Jersey. Now, for those that don't know, I mean, most people know, but I want to ask you, how was it for you guys? Now, obviously, there were people before y'all like Latifah and Lakim Shabazz. He's from Jersey, right?
Yep.
Lakim Shabazz and others. Chill Rob G. It's funny because I knew they were from Jersey, but I didn't. They were so, up here, like, you just never really quite knew.
Right.
But how was it? But you guys really took things to another level. as far as representing Jersey. Treach lyrically has always been incredible. But for you, did you guys have any barriers to getting in the game? How hard was it for you to overcome like a tough New York crowd?
Oh yes. Well, back in the day, man, I was just explaining this to Busy B and Dougie Fresh. You know, I'm like, they know back in the day, hip hop was all about the 5 boroughs. If you were not from the 5 boroughs, you couldn't be down. As a matter of fact, you came into a party and they knew you were out of town, you get bum rushed out the place. You know, so for us in Jersey, man, it was almost like taboo to try to be down, but we did have, like you mentioned, our forefathers in hip-hop, which was the Flavor Unit, spearheaded by Mark the 45 King. So with Lakim Shabazz, Apache, Chill Rob G, Lati, all of those guys, you know, they went out first, but Mark the 45 King always had a great relationship with Cool DJ Red Alert, Marley Marl, and that way back in the day the lines could have got blurred. You could have been from Jersey, but it wasn't really, you know, put out there like that. However, when we came along, you know, we were the first artists signed to Flavor Unit Management because Mark the 45 King and that crew did their thing, but Latifah was their female rapper, and she and Shakim formed Flavor Unit Management. So Naughty was the first act on Flavor Unit Management, and then we got signed to Tommy Boy. So just when you're coming out of the mid to late 80s, we come along in the 90s, and the climate kind of changed. And then for us, we was straight Jersey, so there was no getting around it or blurring the lines, and we had to come out the box and let them know, man, we were standing on the shoulders of the Flavor Unit greats. So that's when we were just all Jersey.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what, love Jersey, man. Shout out Jersey. All hip hop was in Jersey. Well, is actually in Jersey, but we were in Newark for the longest time. Right. Yeah. So those rents didn't make sense after a while, you know. So we're gonna go a little further out, but yeah, no. Shout out to Jersey and East Orange too. Shout out to East Orange. My brother taught out there. Okay. He was a teacher.
Dope.
I just want to ask you just a few hip hop questions. You cool with that? All right. So let's let's just talk about Naughty at its height. I mean, you guys were known for anthems. Like after a while, we were looking for anthems from y'all. Right. Was that an intentional thing, or was it more on accident, or how did like the hip hop hooray and even
OPP, the call and response. Well, our style of music came from back in the day. Again, we took the club route and the club circuit. So when we were coming up, even as teenagers in high school, there was a club, Club 88 in East Orange, and they used to have the Tough Teen Talent Competition. So we came up where we had to compete against everyone. And back then, you didn't have songs on the radio, you didn't have music videos playing, so you literally had to rock the crowd. And a lot of that comes with crowd participation, call and response in order to rock the crowd. So when we began to go in the studio, we just transferred that element to the recording process, and just organically we knew like while we're recording, these kinds of songs would work in the clubs, you know what I mean? Just like we were performing live, and that kind of evolved our style. So after a while, when OPP and Uptown Anthem and Hip Hop Parade came out, they're like, y'all the king of the anthems because you rock the crowd. But yeah, it started from day one.
I always look at you as the nice guy. Now I don't know if you were a nice guy in that period of time, but y'all were. It was pretty tense back in the day.
Yeah, definitely super tense.
Yeah, super tense. How were you in that? Like, how were you specifically in those conditions?
Well, you know the thing is, man. The reality is we're street kids. You know what I'm saying? And KG and I, we've known each other the longest. You know. And KG and I are Virgos, so my birthday is September 17th, and KG's birthday is the 15th. So we're both like quiet riots, you know, and literally coming up in the hood, man, these are dangerous conditions, and just out of the instinct of survival, you do what you have to do. So back in the day, we were street kids. We did the typical, hey, I'm selling drugs or whatever to get out of the streets. But you know, we were never proud of that. You know what I'm saying? Because our black men, man, we're not savages. We are, you know, intelligent brothers. And I just posted the other day, like, one of my biggest influences outside of my family and friends was KRS-One, you know, because he was educated, he was informed, he was articulate. And when it came to hip hop, that's who I wanted to emulate and be like. So when we come up, it's like, I don't have to prove that I'm some reckless, angry, savage, dangerous savage, because that's not what I am. It's like, we're kids from the hood. We unfortunately come from these circumstances, and by the grace of God, we were able to navigate that and kind of get away from it or escape those perils, man. And now that we're here, we're not going to sit here and act like I'm super tough guy. We're talking about banking. We're talking about, you know, reinvesting in the community. We're talking about working with local mayors and you know, law enforcement, man, so we could protect our communities. And we shouldn't have to move out here, there, or the other. We should be able to stay in our communities, develop our communities, step up as men, and not, you know, have this perception that we're just black savages, man. I refuse to play into that narrative.
Got you. When, you know, there have been times when Treach might, you know, do Treach, and I always worry for Treach. Let me be very clear. I think Treach is criminally, at this point, underrated. I don't think his name gets mentioned enough with the greats, and that's no disrespect. I truly, truly believe that. But I always get worried. How are y'all as a group now?
Yeah, we're good. As a matter of fact, we're in the studio now. So after I leave here, I have to go. We've been banging out for like 2 months now, because this year is our 30th anniversary. So we're working on a 30th anniversary documentary, a new album, and we're getting ready. So we got Treach in the lab, and that was one of my things. I'm like, you know what? With this 30th anniversary album, a lot of people call us as a group underrated, and Treach as a group, as a MC underrated. So let's just go in there and bang out, get that old school rhythm back when we were in high school, you know, and that hunger in there. And let's put out a body of work where people will say, okay, I remember, and this is why people said this about Naughty. So, yeah, we're taking our time, and COVID has been great to us. So we're taking our time just rebranding, getting a bunch of new content out there, man. And the later half of this year, 2022 and beyond, we'll be rocking out.
You gonna be rhyming too?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in there too, man. We're all in there, man. It's like, I call this the Great Reset. You know what I'm saying? So while no one's thinking of us, and this is the best way to work, when no one's thinking of you, you go in the lab, just no pressure, no pressure from the labels, you know, meeting a time constraint. We're just working, man, and enjoying what we do.
That's good to hear, man. I love it. I love to hear that. And we were talking about Lloyd Banks' album, and Lloyd Banks, you know, he's been really quiet, real quiet.
Right.
And we've been actually trying to interview him. He just, you know, won't respond, nothing.
Right.
And then he just breaks out with this incredible album. I'm like, yo, that's the way to move.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Records could be just forgotten, you know, okay, whatever. But one incredible piece of work is...
because, you know, and these days it's really easy to get distracted with all of the internet noise, you know what I'm saying? And people understand what's going on with, or maybe they don't, you know, within G Unit. And I think the smart way is to just work around the noise, put in the work, and then put it out, and then you deal with all that nonsense.
So what made you go a documentary instead of a feature film, like, you know, like Straight Outta Compton or something?
Well, I think for us, it's like, we have a hell of a story, and we have a lot of footage, and we have a lot of people who can speak to our legacy. So I think the documentary route, I love documentaries because it's not reenacted. It's coming from the horse's mouths, and you see the footage as it happened. So that puts you in a certain mindset. And then if you do right by the documentary, it'll set you up for the feature film, and people enjoy that as well.
Dope, nice. I'm loving that. So we're gonna keep looking for that. Let's talk about the community just a bit. We were talking about our black men and hip hop, and even other forces around us, and or maybe that have a hidden hand on our culture. What do you think right now about the state of things, and then you can include hip hop in that if you want.
Right. Well, what I feel is right now, man, it's like code red emergency. What's happening with our black men, in particular in hip hop? It's like these young careers, man. We were like impacted by Biggie, impacted by Tupac, impacted by Jam Master J's untimely death.
Yeah.
In our age of hip hop. Now these kids are getting knocked off every other week, man, and it's really a toxic situation out there. It's a toxic mentality out there. Our kids are even claiming demon time, and it's really like devil worshiping, bro. And I've never seen it like this, and it's pouring into our streets. We know how influential hip hop is, man, and it's time to ring the alarm for our black males in America, that it's time for us to step up. Whether you're in corporate America or whether you work at Burger King, it doesn't matter. It's time for us to step up because our young brothers are out here in these streets wilding. And it's a real toxic situation. It's literally genocide. And then for the rest of us, it makes us look like we're criminals coming, and it sets us up for stop and frisk again, no matter what age you are, no matter how buttoned up you are. It sets you up for when you walking down the streets of anywhere USA, cops roll down on you because you fit a description. So before we go backwards, we definitely need to step up and head this off at the path.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was just wondering, I was thinking as you were talking, you were around and you guys were kind of linked to Tupac, Treach, obviously. But I always wondered, with that situation, why the reins didn't get pulled back, or someone like, for you, how was it at that period of time, kind of being in the middle of that, around it?
Yeah, it was definitely an unfortunate situation because, it was almost like manufactured beef, and a lot of people blame the media for going back and forth and kind of taunting and teasing each side. And we're seeing the same thing happen now, but even faster because of social media and digital media. So for us as young black men trying to travel across the country and feed our families, it was a very dangerous time. You know what I mean? And it was dangerous then, but now it's even more dangerous. However, I do feel blessed that we've been around for 30 years and we're 50 years old, so our audience is not only diverse, but it's a far more mature audience. But I definitely feel for our younger brothers out there in their teens and their 20s. Man, it's really dangerous just to attend a concert.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Boosie did a show and it just got shot up, and the Baby had an artist and he gets in a minor car accident and somebody ends up shooting. Right. You know what I mean?
At Prime 112, in Miami. And these are some of our premier spots where people want to just come and enjoy themselves. Now, even like the brother who passed away in Chicago, he was shopping in, their version of Rodeo Drive, and you having these shootouts. But I would say this is a call to America, because you can't have all of your garbage in a garbage dump and not expect the smell to reach you.
Right.
Because the winds are going to blow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you don't do what you can to take care of your people and to take care, we're part of this country as well.
Right.
But if you neglect us, unless you're trying to deliberately exterminate us, then you can't neglect us, man. We have to work as a community to level this playing field. So while you're shopping in Rodeo Drive, you don't get hit with a stray bullet. Right. Or while you're at Roof Chris, you don't get the whole thing shot up like we're living in the 80s New York City mobster world. So you can't just turn a blind eye anymore.
Facts. HBO has an incredible documentary called Exterminate All the Brutes. And it's not directly related to what we're talking about, but it does set the tone for where we are now. It's just about getting rid of undesired people. You know? So it's something to check out. It's funny because I think that all of this is related to money, and Money Ave is probably a really dope way to change that paradigm in our communities, because if your money is right, you less likely to do something stupid, or you're less likely to put yourself in those situations where something stupid can happen.
Right.
Obviously, anybody can get God or stray or whatever, but I think people move a little smarter when they have something to lose.
Right.
you
Right.
know? And in our communities, money tends to be the driving force.
Right.
Yeah.
And hey, sometimes money can be the gift and the curse,
Yeah.
But I will say this, I cannot say that in this day and age, our young people have more financial resources to work with. I just think that we're programmed, just like having guns, We definitely have guns in the hood,
Yeah.
and we need them. It's just that we're programmed to use them wrong.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with money. We do have access to finances. It's just that we're programmed to use it wrong.
Yeah.
We want to run to the jewelry guy, the exotic foreign guy, all of the
Right.
foreign clothes,
Right.
and we're literally sending that money and sending our generational wealth one way out of our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Man. So it's about an education and a reprogramming of mentality, man. It's a fight for the mind right now, Chuck.
Yeah, it is. We gonna work it out though. We're gonna definitely work it out.
Definitely.
Shout out to Vin Rock. I appreciate you, man.
Yes.
For coming through One World Studios with all hip hop. Peace.
All right.
Thank
peace.
you. Oh, COVID got us weird with our fist bump, elbow bump.
Right.
Nah, thank you, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
We got
definitely.
you.